Hey guys, in this video, I want to talk about three specific things that you need as an auto detailer that really nobody I can find is talking about. And these are all business related things. These are very business heavy. It's going to be a very business heavy video. So let's go ahead and jump right in. And by the way, for those of you who are a little curious as to why I'm washing the car here before I'm doing the tires, that's just because sometimes I like to mix things up. So as you guys are watching the full exterior detail of this Honda CR-V, let's go ahead and get into the first thing that every detailer needs as you're moving forward trying to build a long-term asset, which is your detailing business. And for those of you who are interested, you can go down below in the YouTube description box and grab that free guide that I created. It's a 13-page document, and it breaks down the exact tools and products that you need to start in the auto detailing business without wasting your time and money on things that don't work. So go grab that free guide below in the YouTube description box if you'd like to shorten your learning curve in that area. Now, let me just define a couple things really quickly because I said a long-term asset, which is your business, and I think that this is a really important thing to talk about, at least really quickly, in that in the auto detailing world, what ends up happening is this industry kind of acts as almost like a net that catches people who maybe want to be in business but maybe don't know how to do it properly or how to do something that is built long term that works, and maybe they're just trying to make short term cash. And because of that, they're not really building a business as much as they're building a job. They're building something that they have to show up to every day or not show up to. In fact, this industry is riddled with people who, at the end of the day, they'll literally not show up to customers' houses. If I had a dime for the amount of customers who told me thank you just for showing up on time, I would have a lot of dimes, because detailers just tend not to know what they're doing when it comes to business or just simple customer service. And so probably the most important thing about this video is this, because it's going to make everything else make sense. It is really important to, well, let's just say if you're serious about auto detailing, it is really important to shift your perspective from this is just a business that I'm trying to make some cash from to this is potentially, if I do it right, a long-term asset that I can utilize long-term and make exponential amounts of income. What I mean by that is if you play your cards right in this business, just for one example, could potentially be sold off to somebody else or to a bigger auto detailing business who's trying to acquire customer lists of smaller auto detailing businesses. They want to kind of monopolize the market in the local area. Whatever it might be, there are so many different ways to monetize this business on the back end, but if you're not looking at it as a long-term business asset, then you're going to struggle in doing that. So the first thing that you need as an auto detailer is a customer information list. A customer information list. This actually would not be a bad video to take notes on if that's something you're interested in doing. And also, these are all three things, and of course many more things that I talk about in dramatic detail in the online course that I'm creating right now that's getting very close to launching. So if you're interested in business content like this, make sure you grab that free guide below, because it's going to put you on the email list, and the only way to figure out when and how to get into the online course is going to be through the email list, at least for now. So a customer information list is nothing more than a fairly detailed list or running list of information that's kept in a sort of categorical and organized way that might even be managed by somebody else, but it literally keeps your customers' information, obviously. Now, there are 1,000 different reasons why you need this. Number one, if you ever want to actually grow a legitimate auto detailing business that exists for the long term, that becomes an asset long term, and that becomes something that you're able to scale. Like, you guys know I talk about maintenance clients all the time. I can promise you this: if you do not keep detailed records of customers' information, you are not going to be able to target maintenance clients in an effective way that works over the long term and that ends up bringing in what I would call like a critical mass of maintenance clients in a short enough period of time to make you want to continue pursuing that methodology. A customer information list really serves, number one, as just something as simple as somewhere for you to be able to target people that you've detailed for before. Why in the world would anyone only focus on getting new customers? It is absolutely essential that you have your customers' information, at least in a detailed enough way, where you can do what we call retargeting them, meaning reaching out to them, emailing them, texting them in order to get back in contact with them so that you can offer them something else. Now, apart from that, and this is the much longer term, much bigger picture, a customer information list is going to serve as one of the most valuable assets that you're going to be able to develop as an auto detailer. Once again, one of the things that is fairly important to ask yourself is, what part of my business is sellable and what part of my business is not sellable? So let's put it in the context of like YouTube, because you guys are watching a YouTube video right now. So I created this YouTube video. I'm the voice of the YouTube video. I'm technically the face of the YouTube video. There I am in the camera detailing the car. I'm kind of the face of the videos of Wilson Auto Detailing. Can I sell off my face? Can I sell off my personality? Well, I can sell it to an extent, meaning I can do maybe a sponsorship deal. Like, for example, I work with Renegade because they're a company that I've been using for the past 2.5 years. Really love their products. And so I work with Renegade. That's a way that I'm selling my, what would you say, personal brand, maybe face, maybe voice, because I am the person in the video. But can I sell my face or my voice in a tangible way, meaning sell it off for someone else to use long term and I make a lump sum of money from selling that asset? Well, no, I can't, right? I can only sell it for a sort of what we might say like is a temporal sort of sell, meaning a sponsored video or something like that. That's about the extent I can do that with. In the same way, your auto detailing services might be a good analogy here. Can you sell your auto detailing services? Well, yes, of course. That's actually the base of your auto detailing business. That's the base of my auto detailing business, selling a service. But can you sell your services as a tangible asset that you put in someone else's hand? Well, no, you can't. There's no company that's going to come roll up and buy your auto detailing service. However, what is something that they would buy? Well, we could put it in the context of, say, YouTube once again. I cannot sell my subscriber list. I can't sell my face. I can't sell my voice. But an asset that I could sell would be a text message list. If I were having you guys sign up for some sort of text message list to get texts from me, and I developed a list of 10,000 phone numbers of people who are specifically interested in detailing and who have a track record of buying detailing products. That information list would be of great interest to a company that maybe sells detailing products, to a company that sells detailing leads to other detailers. That is an asset that can be sold off that over time is divorced from my time and my ability to work. That's what I would consider your greatest asset in the detailing world, something that ultimately divorces you from time and your ability to put forth effort. So while it takes effort to build the asset, can you sell the asset long term? This is going to be the inevitability of a customer information list. Inevitably, this is an asset that as it grows, the asset is separated from you. It's separated from your ability or your the necessity of you to go detail. This is an asset that you will simply have and grow long term as you continue. And that is the kind of asset that if you don't have in your business, we might call it like your business is asset poor. Your business is, asset poor. That's probably the best way to say it. While yes, you're making money from your services, yes, you're making money from your ability to buy products and implement the products, buy tools and implement the tools. No, you are not able to divorce your time long term or have anything that someone else or another company would be interested in paying you a specific amount of money for. And so this is the same way, like if you met with a financial advisor and they said, hey, you don't have any money in savings, so while you make a good amount of income from your detailing business, we need to make sure you have a sort of emergency fund. Your savings poor. Or they might say your insurance poor, right? You don't have any life insurance. So if you die, your wife and kids are going to be left with nothing. This is kind of how we want to contextualize and picture the different parts of our business. At least that's what I have found really helpful. And that's where I categorize the customer information list. Another really great thing to note about it is that it's extremely simple to acquire. Now, you might be wondering where something like this gets categorized. And the most simplistic way to say this, and this does, by the way, get more complicated over time, and we can dive into that in just a second. But this is something that can can be begun on an Excel spreadsheet on the Google Drive, right? Get Google Sheets, get an Excel spreadsheet or a Google, Excel spreadsheet, and you can put in customer name, customer phone number, customer email, addresses, miscellaneous notes, all these things. Number one, the first part of your customer information list is you're going to want a point of contact, and truth be told, you're going to want as many points of contact as you can get. So while the simple answer is a phone number, you're going to want to try to fill up the information side or the point of contact side of your customer information list with as much information as you can get. The more ways to contact the customer, the more valuable your customer information list becomes. That's rule number one. Secondly, you're going to want to absolutely keep notes about what happened with the customer as far as what they paid for, what the interaction was like. Specifically, you should be putting in dollar amounts. You should be putting in time frames. You should be putting in that sort of information. Of course, a physical address is also something that is extremely valuable to have. Basically, what you're doing. Here's where people end up going wrong. It's kind of like this is kind of the what would I say? When people are starting in the auto detailing business, they're always trying to reach everyone. They're trying to reach every customer they could possibly get. One of the reasons why you want to focus in and niche in as you're building a list is because the more niche, the more specific, the more valuable the list becomes to the right company or to the right person. So people say this often. Again, I'll use the YouTube analogy. People say if you're trying to reach everyone on YouTube, you'll end up reaching nobody because you're too generalized. You don't appeal to anyone. You have to at least start in a specific category with a specific group of people. So you can think even 100,000 subscribers later, I'm still staying in this category of professional auto detailers who want to start their own business. And this is not just weekend warriors, hobbyists. I probably tend to appeal more to younger guys, probably between the age of like 17 and 28. I appeal to younger guys who want to start their own detailing business, probably more mobile. And I appeal to guys who want to be good with their money, be good with business, and potentially maybe even start more businesses down the road outside of just detailing, but using detailing as a step one to create cash flow and to create an asset. That's the specific group of people I'm targeting. So I can bring that into my particular auto detailing business. I tend to cater in my auto detailing business to higher end, higher net worth individuals, generally entrepreneurs or high income jobs like doctors, and lawyers, a lot of people in the finance industry as well. So I tend to cater to high net worth individuals. I also tend to cater to people who want their vehicles detailed on a regular basis. So you see how I've niched down even my customer information list. My customer information list is not just full of people who are interested in detailing. These are people high net worth, generally fairly career-driven individuals who drive fairly nice vehicles, who also want detailing and value it and have a track record of valuing it with a certain dollar amount on a regular basis. So once again, you are what would I say, compounding the power of your list as you can specify that which you are targeting. So that is something to consider. I would say probably in the beginning stages of your detailing business, everyone's list is obviously going to start more general, and that's for obvious reasons. That's going to be something that you're probably not going to be able to get around. But as you continue, figure out who your customer is, even taking the time to write down who your customer is very specifically. Just to give you guys another example, as I've been creating this online course, I've been thinking, who is my customer? Before I ever started this course 5 months ago, I went through an exercise where I wrote down exactly who my customer is by name, by age, by family background, by social background, by economic background, by their current state of affairs in life. and I literally wrote down, this is my customer. This is the perfect person for this course. This is who I'm targeting because this is who it's going to help the most. You ought to do that in your detailing business. It is a mistake to go with this common ideology that you're just trying to get anyone who's willing to be your customer into your pipeline. That is why people ask the question, how do I get more customers? That question fundamentally is spawned from this idea that you want everyone to be your customer. That is not true. In any other business, guys, in any other business, no one is trying to target everybody, right? I mean, you could think of businesses that we're all very familiar with, that we all probably contributed to. Like, I own an iPhone. You guys probably own an iPhone. Back in the day, when Apple was building their branding, they were not trying to target everybody. They were trying to target people who thought of themselves as sort of rebellious, people who didn't fit in the status quo, people who move the human race forward, right? They did this huge Think Different campaign. So there's these things that people do to target a specific group of people, and this is what you should be considering in your detailing business. If you're trying to reach everybody, you're going to end up not reaching anybody and definitely not reaching the person that you actually want to reach. So it is worth dialing that in. And when you have a customer information list, you have all of this stuff to work with as far as getting some specificity in that area. Now, I do just want to touch on what I'm doing in the video really quickly to take a quick break from the business side of things. This is just a good little detailing tip, behind the door handles here, oftentimes you will find that there's a bunch of scratching, and there's just like a conglomeration of a bunch of scratching and black or white or kind of tan marks behind those handles. And what ends up happening is, because people are reaching over the handle to open the door, they scratch their fingernails right in that area without intending to. The easiest way to get rid of that scratching, because at the end of the day, really what it is transfer, is using a little bit of degreaser all-purpose cleaner, spraying it back there, taking a wet magic eraser, going ahead and scrubbing it very lightly, and then rinsing it off with a hose, and that's going to take out basically 90 to 100% more or less of all of these scratches. Now, back to the business stuff here. Now that I've talked about the customer information list, the second thing that you must have as an auto detailer is what I would call a basic detailing system. What I mean by a basic detailing system is this. It's always amazed me when I'm talking to what I say would be beginners in the detailing business, but even people who I wouldn't classify as beginners, but people have been doing this for, say, like a year. And even a year later, they don't have a fundamental practical detailing system that they implement on basically every car that they encounter, so that the system is always the same. You have no idea the amount of mind space and mind power and focus and sort of draining your resources you will do if you don't have a basic, just fundamental way that you approach every vehicle. So, for example, if I'm doing a full detail, I know that I'm always starting with the interior. That's the most basic part of my basic system. I know I start with the interior. I know I compartmentalize the car into basically a cross. So there's 4 different sections. You have driver sections, back part with including the trunk, and the part next to that, of course, behind the passenger side, and then the passenger side. That's the way I categorize the car. I always start with the driver's side. I move back. I move to the side. I move forward. That's how I move around the car. I know the basic tools and the basic products that I use when I'm implementing this system. I know that I move from the inside of the car, the outside of the car to the inside of the car. I go from door panels to dashboard, to steering wheel, to plastic housing, to radio, to console, to cup holders. I move back. I do the backs of the seats before I ever do the fronts of the seats at the end of the detail. So there's this basic way that I approach every single detail. Now, it's important to make the distinction. Of course, that does not mean I approach every detail the same way. What it means is I have a fundamental foundation that I'm standing on, and then, of course, there are adjustments, modifications, and additions that are made to that. But if you do not have a basic system, this is what will happen, because this is what happened to me. You will approach the car and you will think that you're about to be done, and then you'll realize what you didn't do, and you'll spend an hour and a half longer, only to realize that you have to spend another 20 minutes, only to realize you have to spend another 10 minutes, only to realize you have to spend another 5 minutes. By the time you get done with the car, not only have you spent way more time than you anticipated spending, but you're also extremely, extremely frustrated. In the comments below, just tell me, have you ever experienced that? Like, go below and say, yes, I have experienced just that if you can relate to what I'm saying right now, because this is a common problem. And once again, it can be solved over time by literally coming home from your detail and writing down on a piece of paper. I know this can work because this is what I did. Writing down on a piece of paper what your system is, how you approach that car, and what you would have done differently. And you will begin a sequence. Sometimes I kind of think some of this stuff is common knowledge because I've been doing this for 10 years, but a lot of times I realize, hey, some of the most basic stuff is easy to skip over because you kind of assume everybody's doing it. And this is something not everybody is doing. And so developing that fundamental system is something that is absolutely a non-negotiable. Now, I do want to say this. This is not a sponsored video at all. And there are times where I do sponsored videos with the technology company Mobile Tech RX. And this is, once again, not a sponsored video. I don't get paid to say this or anything like that. I just want to let you know, for those of you who are wondering like how to start to organize this stuff, if you're looking for a software, that is the one that I do suggest. Mobile Tech RX is just an all-in-one platform for detailers where you can schedule, you can invoice, you can automate emails, automate text, you can develop your customer information list. Like basically the reason why I'm suggesting it is because it'll keep all of the stuff I'm talking about in one single place, and that ends up being very helpful for you as you grow. So if you're in the beginning stages, this might not be something you're interested in, but if you are growing at any sort of rate, you might consider something like this. It always makes sense to invest first back into your business with technology, with things that streamline your company. And so for those of you who wonder or are wondering about what that is, I will hook up a link below. That is just, once again, it's just a link to you can have like a 30-day free trial. And if you do it for 30 days and don't like it, then don't do it. But, you could try it for free just to see if it is something that's helpful to you, because I think that that resource might be helpful for you guys. Now, outside of that, the third major thing that you must have if you're trying to build your auto detailing business is a fundamental pricing system. So just like you need a fundamental detailing system, a basic way to approach the physical detailing process, you need a basic way to fundamentally approach the pricing process. A lot of times, detailers get almost like resentful or frustrated because their customers are always asking them about pricing. This, number one, is completely normal. Number two, it's also something that as you pursue this maintenance client's sort of system that I talk about, it's also something that dies down over time to the point where you can literally raise your prices on your clients and they don't even think about it or question it. I literally just got done interviewing one of my maintenance clients that I had for like 4 years, and we talked about when I raised the prices on her and why she didn't go anywhere and why she wasn't frustrated by that, and kind of get in the head of the maintenance clients. That's only available for the people who get into the course, but that being said, my point here is there is an expectation that everybody who is anybody is always going to ask you about pricing. In fact, that is normally the number one thing they're going to ask, because that is, if you looked at it like a hierarchy of value, the price is the most fundamental part of that pyramid, and that is the first obstacle that has to be overcome. So when you answer the phone with a new customer, generally speaking, the first thing they're always going to ask you is, what do you charge? Because that is their basic necessity, and if it's outside of a range that they consider reasonable or what they can, afford at that particular time, which of course that can change as the conversation goes on, but they're going to immediately categorize that answer in their head as either a yes or a no. Sometimes the no, of course, can be changed to a yes. But my point is, again, looking at it as like a hierarchy of value, that's the first hurdle that has to be jumped. The customer generally doesn't care about anything else outside of that. It's the same thing of like people looking for a job and a salary position. They have a certain number in their head. They're like, okay, I have to make at least $30,000 a year. If I can't make $30,000 a year, then it's automatically a no matter what the job is. It's kind of that first hurdle. This is something that when you're in a service-based business like detailing, it just has to be expected, and there's really no reason getting upset about it. A lot of times guys are like, and people are always asking me about pricing. People are always asking me what I charge. And it's like, well, yeah, of course they are, because you don't know them personally. You don't have a built relationship of trust with them. Their number one thing that they want to get over is the price point. And so this is something that probably you'll save yourself a lot of frustration if you just accept that right off the bat. This is another reason why pursuing the maintenance client strategy is so helpful is because price begins to be a less and less and less important variable in the equation, especially as you build more of a relationship and a relationship of trust. But even more in detail, the reason why you need a fundamental way to approach pricing from a practical point of view, just like you need it for detailing, is because you have to be able to take the subjective nature of detailing, put it through an objective system in order to get a certain answer for your customer on the phone, because they will inevitably ask what you charge. What you do not want to happen is to tell the customer, well, because of the subjective nature of detailing, I charge a different amount for every single car, so I really can't give you an exact price over the phone. Da, 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 da. There is a way to not give an exact price over the phone and yet also answer the customer's question in a way that makes them want to continue the conversation. So what I mean very practically and simply is, if you don't have a way to address the pricing question by actually giving your customer a number over the phone, you can bet the conversation is not going to go very far. This does not mean you have to give them an exact price over the phone. It does, however, mean you have to be able to give an objective dollar amount for them to have some sort of point of reference to consider or to categorize you in their head and your services. It is the number one question people are going to ask, and so you're not going to be able to get over it. Now, some of you guys might be wondering what I'm using on the car here because it's in a tiny little spray bottle. This is actually part of the fun of my job and what I get to do now a lot of times because of the videos. I'm actually doing some chemical testing and some product testing for a specific company here that will remain nameless, but just doing some specific testing here and going through a bunch of different spray bottles and kind of testing what the different depth of gloss, shine, durability, water beating is on these different sprays that I'm using on the car. So anyway, that is just a quick side note. But anyway, the point remains the same here, guys, that you have to have a system that you approach pricing through that is basic, it's simple, and it allows you, once again, to take the subjective nature of detailing, filter it through your system, and pop out a number so you can get the conversation to continue. So when the person says, hey, I drive a 1997 Mazda Miata, or they say, hey, I drive a 2010 Suburban, you need to be able to take both of those things, put them through the system, and come up with an answer, because every customer is going to want a point of reference of which to use as they are considering whether or not you are the person they want to go to. And then you might be asking, well, my prices are too high. That's why most people say no. Well, the answer to that question is either, number one, lower your prices, or number two, get more customers filtering into your business and into your cell phone so that you can only take the cream of the crop, right? There's two basic answers to the question, to the pricing problem. Lower your prices, you lower the barrier of entry, or keep your prices high, which I would suggest, and figure out how to create a machine that brings customers to you more or less on automatic at some point. Eventually, you might have to do a bunch of work to get there, but it brings you customers on automatic so that you can eventually, over time, begin to take only the cream of the crop, like I said. Now, for those of you guys who are wondering what I've been using in this video, because I did not talk about it at all, I am not going to go into it, but go below in the YouTube description box if you want to see the tools and the products that I use for a basic exterior detail, like I did in this video. And then on top of that, if you guys want to see what I use as just a basic fundamental starting your business, what you must have, go below and grab that free guide in the YouTube description box. It will really shorten the learning curve for you. So there's really no reason why you guys should have to go through all the trial and error of trying to get the right tools and products that don't work, wasting your money on things when you could just go grab that guide, be a part of the email list there, and then get all of the answers right there. And then, as always, guys, like I said, there's an organized list of everything I used in this video, and yes, those are affiliate links, so I would be very grateful if you use them. And if you're new to the Wilson Auto Detailing channel here today, then consider hitting the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so that you get notified when I publish videos like this, because I publish video content like this about auto detailing business stuff all the time. And while I love talking about products just as much as the next guy, I'm way more interested in the business aspect of detailing really than anything else. And because it's not something we talk about very much, I just think we need to have the conversation. So guys, as always, from Luke here at Wilson Auto Detailing, thank you for watching, keep working hard, and I'll see you in the next video. Yeah.